20 seconds.
What is one glaring stat that has been holding the Broncos back? This is your Denver Sports Daily for September 25th.
The biggest stories, the latest news. It's Denver Sports Daily.
The Broncos' slow start to the season has become a cause of many issues. You know, you have a lot of different issues that you're facing, and you can't pin it all on one thing, whether it's their inconsistency on defense or their offense's inability to string together a good drive, but something has held them back. And one stat, a specific stat in a specific area, has held them back more than anything else, and that's penalties. In 3 games, the Broncos have been penalized 24 times for 218 yards. Those are not the numbers that you want to see. They are not great, and they've even been the cases of a loss already. So you're seeing penalties become a big issue, and the worst part about penalties is that they're self-inflicted. You are going out there and you are hurting yourself. You're shooting yourself in the foot because you don't know the snap count, that kind of easy stuff. And that's not necessarily a dig at one singular penalty, because there's been a cumulative amount that have really brought the Broncos down. Now, the only game where the Broncos have been penalized less than the other team was in the first game of the season against the Tennessee Titans. But in the last 2 games against the Colts and the Chargers, the Broncos were penalized for a combined 80 yards. So you're seeing penalties become an issue, and you're seeing a real glaring fact right there, is that the games where you're penalized less, you win. The games where you penalize more than the other team, you lose. And I guarantee that goes for that goes without saying for any team around the league. You have the least amount of penalties, you end up winning the game most of the time. But this seems like a bigger issue for the Broncos. You're having dumb penalties go out there, whether it's in this last game where against the Chargers, where Nick Benito's jumping off sides on a 4th down where they're going to punt, that kind of stuff. You know, you're seeing J.K. Dobbins get stupid penalties for running down the field. You're seeing Talanoa Hufanga, get an unnecessary roughness penalty. That kind of stuff snowballs. And in that case, the Talanoa Hufanga one, it already had snowballed. I mean, you're putting yourself in a worse position now where the Chargers are looking to come back and end up beating you. And they did. So that's the kind of stuff that really holds you back from winning. Now, of course, again, the Broncos have already lost a game to the Colts due to a late penalty call, but it's less obvious than that. Of course, you see that and you're like, oh, that's the reason why the Broncos lost the game. It's a penalty. It's easy to see that the reason the Broncos are losing is because of the penalty right there. It's less obvious. There are more penalties called throughout the game that put other teams in scoring position. It's not just about the final score. It's not about that last second field goal. It's about what gets the team into position to kick that field goal, or what gets the team in the position to be in a scoring position to where if they do kick a field goal, they end up winning the game. So you got to look through all the plays. You got to see where the game was actually lost rather than just watching the final play of the game. Because if you tell a regular person, hey, the Broncos lost to the Colts because of a late penalty that gave them another chance to kick the field goal, the regular person is going to say, oh, they lost because of a penalty. But it's not that obvious. You're seeing penalties called throughout the game that lead to the Broncos getting themselves into a position where they have already lost it. Now, if the Broncos keep putting themselves in these bad positions due to self-inflicted injuries, shooting yourself in the foot, that can easily be stopped. These are self-inflicted injuries. These are self-inflicted. That can be stopped if you just pull yourself away, take a step back, realize where you are, play the football that you've been playing since middle school, where you know not to jump off sides on a 4th down. That kind of stuff. But if they don't find a way to stop those self-inflicted injuries, they will find it hard to win any game in the NFL. It doesn't matter who you're playing. You go up against the Bengals and you record 8 penalties for 113 yards, you're going to lose the game. You're just going to lose the game. And that's especially important when it comes to the Eagles 2 weeks out. If you're getting into penalty trouble, you're getting flags thrown on you every play, you've already lost. You cannot be getting self-inflicted injuries up against the best team in the world right now in the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, moving on, the Broncos have a dozen nominees for the 2026 Pro Football Hall of Fame class. The nominees for the 2026 Pro Football Hall of Fame class were announced, and the Broncos have a stacked lineup that includes a large number of players from many different areas, some who only played a year or two here, half a year in one instance coming up, but there's a lot of different players, and some of these guys are real Broncos legends that have a real good shot at becoming the next Hall of Fame inductee. So let's look through these players. We got defensive tackle Jarrell Casey, who played for the Broncos in 2020 after spending his first 9 seasons with Tennessee. Running back Jamal Charles, who also only spent 1 year with the Broncos in 2017 after playing with the Chiefs for most of his career. Tackle Ryan Clady, who played with the Broncos from 2008 to 2015. Defensive end Elvis Dumervil. He is going to get an award for the best name on the list. Elvis Dumervil, are you kidding me? 5-time Pro Bowler and spent 6 years with the Broncos from 2006 to 2012. Wide receiver Brandon Lloyd. Many must remember him because he led the league in receiving with the Broncos in 2010. Wide receiver another Brandon Marshall, who still holds the single game record for 21 receptions in a single game. People remember that name because of that incredible feat. Center Tom Nalen, who already is a Ring of Fame inductee with the Broncos. He spent all 14 years of his career in Denver and helped lead the Broncos at the center position to 2 Super Bowls. Defensive end Simeon Rice, who only spent half a year, you got to count him, he's a Bronco up there, with the Broncos in 2017. Denver defensive tackle Ted Washington, who played 17 years in the NFL, but only joined the Broncos for his final season in 1994. A lot of these guys, again, only with the team for 1 year and even a half a year, funny enough. Wide receiver Wes Welker, who many remember as a Patriot, but here in Broncos country, spent 2 seasons with the Broncos in 2013 and 2014, and will be remembered, at least in Broncos country, as one of the great targets for Peyton Manning. Gotta love Wes Welker. Had his jersey when I was a kid. Big fan of his. And wide receiver Rod Smith, and like Nalen, spent all 12 years of his career in Denver from 1995 to 2006 and helped lead the Broncos on the receiving end in their first Super Bowl wins. Obviously, Rod Smith, one of those legends that people will remember forever. You got to love Rod Smith. When you're talking about the greatest receivers in Broncos history, Rod Smith is up there. Of course, Demaryius Thomas is always going to be up there. You're going to see a lot of big names like that, but Rod Smith, of course, is one of the first one that comes to mind, especially if you're one of the fans of the older teams, back in those championship years when the Broncos were just dominating, the John Elway years, the golden era. If we're taking a book from the Nuggets page, or taking a page from the Nuggets book, look at my mind all messed up on a Thursday. Now that'll do it for your Denver Sports Daily. Of course, a lot of players there looking good, hoping to represent the Broncos in the Hall of Fame class. But tomorrow we're previewing a big matchup for the Buffs, their first ranked matchup of the year. If they can go out and win against BYU, they will put themselves back on the map. They won't be ranked quite yet, is what my guess would be if they end up winning, but they would be putting themselves in the conversation, and especially if they can get a win here and then next week go on and get a win against TCU. That would be huge. But that'll do it for your Denver Sports Daily. I'll be back with you guys again tomorrow. Until then, y'all have a great rest of your day, and I will see you all later. Bye, y'all.